Welcome to study session 3, types of listening. Introduction. Different situations require different types of listening. We may listen to obtain information, improve a relationship, gain appreciation for something, make discriminations, or engage in a critical evaluation. While certain skills are basic and necessary for all types of listening, receiving, attending, and understanding, each type requires some special skills. In this session, you will be discussing the different types of listening, learning outcomes. When you have studied this session, you should be able to 1. Outline the types of listening and their crucial variables. 2. Identify the other broad types of listening. Types of listening. Informative listening. Informative listening is the name we give to the situation where the listener's primary concern is to understand the message. Listeners are successful so far as the meaning they assign to messages is as close as possible to that which the sender intended. Informative listenings or listenings to understand is found in all areas of our lives. Much of our learning comes from informative listening. For example, we listen to lectures or instruction from teachers, and what we learn depends on how well we listen. In the workplace, we listen to understand new practices or procedures, and how well we perform depends on how well we listen. We listen to instructions, briefing, reports, and speeches. If we listen poorly, we aren't equipped with the information we need. There are 3 key variables related to informative listening. Knowing these variables can help you begin to improve your informative listening skills. That is, you will become increasingly successful in understanding what the speaker means. 1. Vocabulary. The precise relationship between the vocabulary and listening has never been determined, but it is clear that increasing your vocabulary can increase your potential for better understanding, and it's never too late to improve your vocabulary. Having a genuine interest in words and language, making a conscious effort to learn new words, breaking down unfamiliar words into their component parts, all those things will help you improve your vocabulary. 2. Concentration. Concentration is difficult. You can remember times when another person was not concentrating on what you were saying, and you probably can remember times when you were not concentrating on something that someone was saying to you. Concentration requires discipline, motivation, and acceptance of responsibilities. 3. Memory. Memory is an especially crucial variable to informative listening. You cannot process information without bringing memories into play. More specifically, memory helps your informative listening in 3 ways. It allows you to recall experiences and information necessary to function in the world around you. In other words, without memory, you will have no knowledge bank. It establishes expectations concerning what you will encounter. You will be unable to drive in heavy traffic, react to new situations, or make common decisions in life without memory of your past experience. It allows you to understand what others say. Without simple memory of the meaning of words, you could not communicate with anyone else. Without memory of concepts and ideas, you could not understand the meaning of messages. Relationship listening. The purpose of relationship listening is either to help an individual or to improve the relationship between people. Therapeutic listening is a special type of relationship listening. Therapeutic listening brings to mind situations where counselors, medical personnel, or other professionals allows a troubled person to talk through a problem, but it can also be used when you listen to friends or acquaintances and allow them to get things off their chest. Although relationship listening requires you to listen for information, the emphasis is on understanding the other person. 3 behaviors are key to effective relationship listening: attending, supporting, and emphasizing. Attending. Much have been said about the importance of paying attention or attending behavior. In relationship listening, attending behavior indicates that the listener is focusing on the speaker. Non-verbal cues are crucial in relationship listening. That is, your non-verbal behavior indicates that you are attending to the speaker or that you aren't. Eye contact is one of the most important attending behavior. Head nods, smiles, frowns, vocalized cues such as I see, or yes, are positive attending behaviors. A pleasant tone of voice, gentle touching, and concerning for the other person's comfort are other attending behaviors. Supporting. Many responses have a negative or non-supportive effect. For example, interrupting the speaker, changing the subject, turning the conversation towards yourself, and demonstrating a lack of concern for the other person, giving advice, attempting to manipulate the conversation, or indicating that you consider yourself superior are other behaviors that will have an adverse effect on the relationship. 3 characteristics describe supportive listening. 1. Discretion, being careful about what they say and do. 2. Belief, expressing confidence in the ability of the other person. And 3. Patience, being willing to give others the time they need to express themselves adequately. 3. Empathizing. What is empathy? It is not sympathy, which is a feeling for or about another, nor it is apathy, which is a lack of feeling. Empathy is feeling and thinking with another person. The caring, empathic listeners is able to go into the world of another, to see as the other sees, hear as the other hears, and feels as the other feels. Empathic behavior can be learned. First, you must learn as much as you can about the other person. Second, you must accept the other person, even if you can't accept some aspects of that person's behavior. Third, you must have the desire to be an empathic listener, and you must remember that empathy is crucial to effective relationship listening. Appreciative listening. Appreciative listening includes listening to music for enjoyment, to speakers because you like their style, to your choice in theater, television, radio, or film. It is the response of the listener, not the source of the message, that defines appreciative listening. That which provides appreciative listening for one person will provide something else for another. For example, hard rock music is not a source of appreciative listening for me. I would rather listen to gospel, country, jazz, or the golden oldies. The qualities of appreciative listening depends in large part on 3 factors: presentation, perceptions, and previous experience. Presentation. Presentation encompasses many factors: the medium, the settings, the style, and personality of the presenter. To name just a few, sometimes it is our perception of the presentation rather than the actual presentation that most influences our listening pleasures or displeasure. Perception is an important factor in appreciative listening. Previous experience. The discussion of perception makes it clear that the previous experience influences whether we enjoy listening to something. In some cases, we enjoy listening to things because we are experts in the area. Sometimes, however, expertise or previous experience prevents us from enjoying a presentation because we are too sensitive to imperfection. Previous experience plays a large role in appreciative listening. Many people enjoy the sound of large city traffic. Perhaps their growing up in a large city was a happy experience for them. The blare of horns honking, the sound of roaring engines accelerating, even the shrill shriek of sirens piercing the ear. All these things may remind them of pleasant times in their lives. They appreciate hearing this sound. Critical listening. The ability to listen critically is essential in a democratic. On the job, in the community, at service clubs, in places of worship, in the family, there is practically no place you can go where critical listening is unimportant. Politicians, the media, salesmen, advocates of policies and procedures, and our own financial, emotional, intellectual, physical, and spiritual needs requires us to place a premium on critical listening and the thinking that accompanies it. The subject of critical listening deserves much more attention than we can afford it. But there are three things to keep in mind. These three things were outlined by Aristotle, the classical Greek rhetorician, more than 2,000 years ago in his treatise, The Rhetoric. They are as follows: ethos or speaker credibility, logos or logical argument, and pathos or psychological appeals. Ethos. Credibility of the speaker is important. The two critical factors of speaker credibility are expertness and trustworthiness. A speaker may be expert or competent and still not be trustworthy. When listening to a message that requires a critical judgment or response, ask yourself, is the speaker a credible source, one who is both an expert on the subject and one who can be trusted to be honest, unbiased, straightforward? Remember that a person may have personality or charisma, but these do not take the place of credibility. A person may even be highly competent and an expert in one area and simply not be informed in another. Effective critical listening requires careful judgment about the expertness and trustworthiness of the speaker. In fact, ethos or speaker credibility may be the most important single factor in critical listening and thinking. However, ethos without logos is not enough. 2. Logos. Even speakers with high ethos often make errors in logic, not by intention, but by accident, carelessness, inattention to details, or lack of analysis. Critical listeners have a right to expect well-supported argument from speakers' arguments that contains both true propositions and valid inference or conclusions. When evaluating arguments, listeners should ask several questions about the proposition or statement made. A. Are the statement true? B. Are the data the best that can be obtained? C. Are the source of the data known to the listener? In other words, do the listener know where the information came from? D. Is the data accurately portrayed? E. Is the data representative? That is, will all the data or at least a preponderance of it shows the same thing? 3. Pathos. The psychological or emotional element of communication is often misunderstood and misused. Simply said, speakers often use psychological appeals to gain an emotional response from listeners. Effective critical listeners carefully determines the focus of the speaker's message. Speakers may appeal to one another or several needs, desires, or values that are important to us, including adventure, thrift, curiosity, fear, creativity, companionship, guilt, independence, loyalty, power, pride, sympathy, altruism. There are many others, of course. The list is a long one. There are several questions critical listeners should ask themselves when assessing the pathos element. Is the speaker attempting to manipulate rather than persuade me? What is the speaker's intent? Is the speaker combining logos and pathos? Am I responding merely to the pathos? Next week or next year, will I be satisfied with the decision I'm making today? The final type of listening is discrimination. It may be the most important type, or it is basic to the other four. By being sensitive to changes in the speaker's voice, volume, force, pitch, and empathy, the informative listener can detect even nuance and differences in meaning. By sensing the impact of certain responses such as or I see, relationship listening can be strengthened. Detection of differences between sounds may be certain instruments in the orchestra or part sung by a cappella vocal group enhances associative listening. Finally, sensitivity to pause and non-verbal cues allows critical listeners to more accurately judge not only the speaker's message but his intention as well. Although discriminative listening cuts across the other four types of listening, there are three things to consider about this type of listening. Hearing ability. Obviously, people who lack the ability to hear well will have greater difficulty in discriminating among sounds. Often this problem is more acute for some frequencies or pitches than others. For example, a person may be less able to discriminate when the sound is coming from a bass voice than from a higher pitched one. Awareness of sound structure. Native speakers become quite proficient at recognizing vowels and consonant sounds that do or do not appear at the beginning, middle, or end of words. For example, a listener might hear this thunder when what the speaker was saying, when what the speaker said was this handle. But since English words do not begin with SE, one would not mistake this bin for this bin. Attention to the sound structure of the language will lead to more proficient discriminatory listening. A person who pays attention to sound structure will recognize that a rapidly spoken hydrangea first could mean either hydrangea first or hydrangea first. Recognition of the two meanings will cause the listener to seek clarification. Integration of non-verbal cues. The previous chapter pointed out how action, non-action, and vocal factors were important in understanding messages. Nowhere is attention to these factors more important than in effective discriminative listening. Words don't always communicate through feelings. The way they are said or the way the speaker acts may be the key to understanding the true or intended meaning. Other types of listening. Passive listening. Passive listening is a listening behavior in which there is little or no self-perception or personal involvement on the part of the listener. It is a type of listening in which many people engage simply because they happen to be present where someone else is talking. For example, an apprentice technician who joined the audience in a lecture theatre to listen to an inaugural lecture will listen passively. He can hardly identify meaningfully the spoken signal, not to talk of correctly interpreting the professor's utterance. The apprentice technician listener is just hearing sound, is not minimally concerned. To him, the discussion going on is merely a composition of sporadic sound put down together by the speaker. This is the type of listening few absent-minded students practice at lectures, discussion method, and departmental seminars. Passive listening is negative listening. Its only usefulness is when a student engages in serious private students has to contend with music playing nearby. While he concentrates on his reading or writing, he should listen passively to the music. He has no control over its stoppage. Passive listening is synonymous with switch off. Serious listening. This is a form of active, purposeful listening. Anyone that engages in it listens with rapt attention. A specific purpose is attached to it, by its very nature. It requires a lot of concentration and attention. Because of its selective nature, it demands mental process of deciding what to listen to and what not to listen to. Serious listening as a concentrative listening calls for total participation of the listener. He must be involved in the whole message, trying to comprehend all its main points and the essential supportive details. Serious or centerline listening can be critical or discriminative. Social listening. You do not need to engage in serious listening at all times because communication is not always of formal type. There are as many informal, unstructured communication situations as are organized, formal, structured ones. Social listening is employed in dialogues, chit-chat conversations, friendly arguments, gossips, and other idle light discussions. The listening behaviors commonly associated with social listening are appreciative, conversational, courteous and affectionate, respectful. Conversational listening behaviors. This is the type of listening that involves interchange of roles. It is a listening behavior that does not assign rapidly a role to the speaker or to the listener. It occurs mostly in friendly conversation. One peculiar thing about it is that the subject being discussed can lead to serious listening when either of the participants may act to consciously understand and remember all the distinguish between logical and emotional arguments. Determined mind to unnecessarily find fault. Instead, a courteous listener does not only declare his mind open, but also gives a feedback that reinforces the speaker. It is a listening behavior that does not show bias or prejudice. You will be an effective communicator when you listen courteously, even in the face of opposition. Respectful, affectionate listening behavior. The difference between cautious and love-respect listening behavior is the kind of participant involved. The common settings for the two is social, while courteous listening behavior occurs between any two dissociants. Love and respect listening behavior involves children, parents, pupils, teachers. Out of love and respect, babies listen to their parents. Similarly, pupils are known that their teachers are loving and more knowledgeable than they. The pupils are willing to listen respectively. Study session summary. In this study session, you have discussed the different types of listening and their characteristics. You have also learned that mastering these different types of listening is key to learning process. And study session 3. Thanks.